We're living in a time where it feels like conspiracy theories are at the highest that they've ever been. From people thinking that someone who lost the presidential election is actually going to step in the 11th hour, or their favorite artist is announcing a new tour date. It feels like every time we face a fact, there's also a fringe group who believes that the total opposite is happening in plain sight. Now, I don't have any discernible data to support that this is the most susceptible that we've been to conspiracy theory, but in my lifetime, this feels like definitely the most. And I blame Taylor Swift, okay? I believe that she's conditioned society into believing that there's an Easter egg or like an Eras Tour 47 being announced with every single piece of pedantic information that we are presented with. And that's just not the case. If this is your first time seeing me, hello, my name is Horace Gold. Welcome to my channel, Hardly Qualified. And Happy New Year. This is the first time we've seen each other in, I think, a month. I took a little bit of a break because I was like, girl, I am tired and I've not been taking my own advice. And then my hometown caught on fire and LA is still burning and I have been occupied emotionally and physically by that. But like, I'm safe, my family's safe, but it's just been a lot, girl. And unless you've been living under a rock, we just survived the first round of the official TikTok ban. And I'll be honest, I was a little skeptical at first. I did not think it was gonna happen. And then I looked at my phone and I was like, oh, like she's really gone. It was giving Y2K at first and then it was Y2, okay, that really happened. And I crashed out. You can find in my YouTube shorts me literally in real time freaking the fuck out.
I have opened TikTok by reflex like 20 times in the last hour. And I keep getting the same message, but I keep doing the same thing.
I could not handle this. I was not well. But then I came back and I was like, okay, we're back. And then it was not back. And I've been on TikTok, as most people, 170 million Americans have been on TikTok. And if you have been on that app, you know, scrolling, that everyone is freaking out, saying the vibes are off, this app is weird, Meta bought it, all these things that have not been proven, that have not been substantiated. There's a wild claim going around that Facebook just started this new account when you can see the social blade, that there's been an official Facebook account on TikTok for the last 3 years. So it did not just happen. And if there was such a great merger of Meta or X or anything with TikTok, we would know. Someone would have reported on it, but that has not happened yet. And so that's what made me really want to make today's video, is just addressing the fact that I actually really think it's dangerous for us to participate in the searching for conspiracy theories.
If 2 + 2 is 4, right? And 5 + 5 is 10, okay. What the fuck is this?
Please make sure you subscribe to this channel. It helps me a lot. I am traumatized from this TikTok ban and I want to be here more often and I want you to see me when I'm here. So subscribe, click the bell, do all the stuff that all like the legacy YouTubers tell you to do. You know it better than I do. I want to be here and I want you to be here with me. So hang out. The US government decided out of nowhere, out of the blue, that TikTok and ByteDance was the sole national security threat to data security in America. It's hard for me to not talk about this emotionally because I'm a little annoyed at the state of the world right now, but I'll just tell you the facts. The government got the TikTok ban packaged with the Ukrainian Emergency Relief Fund, packaged into one bill that Joe Biden just decided to sign. He could have been like, hey, why is this together? Why actually are you? Could have asked a singular question. Did not. He said, before I even saw it, I'll sign it. Okay, sir, what day is it, Joe Biden? Like, why are you walking around anywhere alone, much less in the Oval Office? And so now there is a forced divestiture between ByteDance and China, or China and TikTok. Basically, it has to separate and TikTok has to become an American company for it to continue to run in the United States. And so because of that, there was a 12-hour ban on Joe Biden's last day of presidency because TikTok was like, yo girl, we are technically illegal. So like, we're not gonna run on these servers without any protection from Joe Biden telling us that like, we're not gonna get fined to hell. And Joe Biden was like, you guys are good. And they were like, no, we actually like need you to say that we're good. If not, we are going to take it off the servers. And Joe Biden was like, chill, you're fine. And they were like, no, we're not. You're fucked later. And so TikTok went offline. I crashed out. I freaked out. I lost my mind. I made reckless decisions. I was not a really great version of myself for those 12 hours. I lost my mind. And when the app came back, it was glitching and there were features that weren't available, like Live and TikTok Shop. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, like what's happening? It feels weird here. The vibes are off. It feels like Meta bought it. Why am I getting Facebook ads? Why am I getting Instagram ads? My content is more censored. My searches are more censored. I'm getting strikes for violations. I can't exist as freely as I did. There must be some government interference. I feel like there's something happening here. The way that I see it, as someone who does not work in tech, I imagine that the algorithm in an app like this works much like a train, right? Like when it shuts down, it takes a second for it to resume at like the highest speed that it was operating on, right? Like we didn't really suffer like a TikTok crash where it was down for half of a day in the last 5 years that it's been dominated on. So for that much power in one country to go down and then come back up, it's not like the flip of a light switch, as far as my opinion. Again, this channel is called Hardly Qualified for a reason. I do not know what I'm talking about, but I'm assuming, right, that it's not going to just like snap right back on. And so with us being told like, hey, there are certain features, but people in the comments being like, my lives aren't here. I'm not saying any lives. And I'm like, I got an email. saying that like lives would be down. We know, we were told it's not a conspiracy theory that like TikTok lives weren't available because TikTok told us that TikTok lives weren't going to be available. That's not a conspiracy theory. There's nothing fishy about it. They said it's not going to work and it didn't work. And do not misconstrue this with me saying that I have total government faith and that I think that everything has gone super clean and that I trust Donald Trump and I trust Mark Zuckerberg and that these people are well-intentioned. No, I'm not saying that. But what I believe is that when we start to look around for all of these sort of really weirdly connected but like not really connected Easter eggs a la Taylor Swift and start to really substantiate this line of thinking, that actually is pulling the wool over our own eyes. Right now there's such a level of paranoia on the internet. It feels like someone comes home from a night out and they're like, oh my God, there's fucking pepper on my counter. Someone broke in and spilled the pepper on my counter. I'm like, girl, you made popcorn earlier and used a little salt and pepper because that's a really good combination, but you forgot that you used the pepper. Meanwhile, there's an intruder standing behind you, holding the salt and a black mask, but you're not looking behind you because you're focused on the pepper that you spilled, but you're now taken so far out of the situation. But I'm like, girl, there's a 6'6" man holding your salt and you're not looking for the salt. When you put yourself in this position to be taken advantage of by participating in what is not really happening. I'm like, of course the lives were down. They said so. If you're concerned about there being government interference, then stop giving them fodder for you to be deceived with. We're setting ourselves up to be distracted by looking for these dumbass reasons. It's not even a coincidence. They literally said the app is down, not all features will be back. That does not mean that there's a conspiracy theory happening. And if there was actually something happening, you're so distracted by this self-induced conspiracy paranoia that you're not paying attention to what might actually be happening. Truthfully, I do not believe anything nefarious is happening with TikTok yet. And I saw other people being like, I can't re-download TikTok. Like, the government, it's really, really weird. Like, what's going on? It's like, girl, TikTok is banned. It is under a ban. Trump has signed an extension saying that it won't be completely removed while they find a buyer. But as it stands, it is currently banned. So it is not available in the app stores because of the ban. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a chain of events. It's a chronological situation. The ban happened. It's not all happening in this like nefarious backdoor Taylor Swift Easter egg kind of way. We're just so consumed with the narrative and people are getting back on TikTok and being like, my entire For You page is everyone just talking about this. Where's the funny people? But I'm like, babe, you're now posting content that feeds back into the For You page of everyone just talking about the conspiracy theories. Therefore, the next person who sees it is gonna see your video and you're now next in line making the same type of content that you're complaining you're only seeing. Like, stop making the type of content that you're saying, oh my God, everyone's talking about this. It's like, so are you. You're literally doing exactly what you're afraid is happening. You're afraid that there's no more funny content and that it's all about the ban while making content about the ban. Therefore, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's this thing where I'm like, take a step back, really breathe, really like acknowledge that like, yes, it was weird. Again, I am not saying that I think that it was like this entirely clean situation. I do not trust Donald Trump. I do not trust Elon Musk. I do not trust Mark Zuckerberg. However, TikTok has not sold to an American company yet. That is why there is a 75-day extension. That was supposed to be 90. Already, Trump cannot follow through with any of his promises. But TikTok as it stands is still the same company that it was before the shutdown because they have not sold yet. So looking for all these reasons to say like, the air feels murky here, the vibes feel off. It's like, yeah, Trump just got elected. Everything changed. Our president's different. There's fires in Los Angeles. The world is weird. There's no work for freelancers. Like, everything's weird. It's not just TikTok, babe. Like, everything feels super, super weird. But it feeling weird does not mean that there's a conspiracy theory behind it. And so I just think that when we allow ourselves to be whipped into this like mass hysteria via the algorithm, it actually reduces the ability that we have being here on the internet to have so much connectivity and so much communication with each other. That potential and that capacity is so tarnished and it's so sabotaged because we're paying attention to the small stuff. You know how people always say like, don't sweat the small stuff? Like, y'all are sweating the small stuff, girl. It's small. Y'all, it's a glitch because an app was down for 12 hours. You might just be on LTE, mama. Like, it might not be the entire conspiracy theory that you're thinking it is, but there's actually real shit that's going down that you're not privy to because you're so concerned with like the small, again, the connective like Venn diagram that really looks like a meth binge. Like, it looks like you guys are doing drugs. And like, I'll be honest, I was with like the blue and on thing. And if you don't know what blue and on is, it's a lot of people thinking that this election was rigged and therefore there would be some sort of Dark Knight Kamala Harris moment where she would would come in the last minute and be elected as the 47th president. I believed it at first. I was like, that would be so amazing. It didn't happen, girl. Like, Trump is the president legally now. He is legally the president. Like, that narrative is over. We need to connect back to reality. We need to separate ourselves from the like Easter egg search and actually just look at the facts, because the facts are juicy enough. The tea is hot, girl. Like, the moment is now, and we need to be connected and present to what's happening rather than trying so hard to be the first one to be like, I solved it. Nothing's there. But all that energy that you spent trying to connect all these dots could be spent organizing, communicating, making sure that you're tapped into your communities. I have been a little disheartened by the Democrats after this election. I'm not so concerned with what's happening in legislative politics because I do not want Donald Trump to be the president. So I don't personally feel that it's my responsibility to now solve and fix and fight when I'm like, where are the Democrats? What I'm concerned with is my community. And I want to be poured into my communities and helping the people that are near me that I know that I can help with my hands. And that requires my mental abilities. But when I'm sitting here trying to like play fucking Nancy Drew, I'm spent, I'm done, I'm cooked. I'm not able to show up presently. So while I think it's very important to pay attention to what's happening, I think it's more important to not allow ourselves to be spun into such hysteria that we are rendered useless. And I think this goes into the like celebrityification of our politicians, and like no shade necessarily against Barack Obama, but he was really the first like social media president. And it feels like when we started to be able to interact with our president and be able to swipe from like Obama to Gaga to Beyonce to all these things, we sort of congeal them into one figure of just general celebrity. And it's like, no, that's a politician. That's a president. And so when we start to now conflate celebrities with Easter eggs, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, Olivia Rodrigo, all these celebrities participate in marketing themselves in this way. But now if my president in my mind subconsciously is also a celebrity, then Kamala Harris wearing a purple suit means way more through the guise of this Easter egg bullshit. When I'm like, girl, it was just purple. Because what happened? We're now here on January 21st. That purple tie meant nothing. Nothing happened. And you guys spent so much time trying to Easter egg Taylor Swift, the vice president of the United States, that now you look stupid because nothing happened. These are not the same thing. Politicians are not celebrities. Politicians are not moving in Easter eggs in front of the American people. And so if something is happening on the presidential level, we are not going to know jack shit about it. And it certainly was not going to be discovered because of an Instagram photo, mama. If you are still watching this video, please make sure you like and leave a comment below. There's a very thin line between being observant and being conspiratorial, and there's an even thinner line between being patient and being dejected. I am not encouraging apathy. I'm not encouraging that you just sit down, roll over, and watch oligarchy happen to you. But I do believe that you are less useful by paying in and playing into what I don't think is really happening. And if it is happening, it's not happening in the way that you're conceiving it or detecting it or trying to deduce it. Again, these Easter eggs are not what you think they are. These people have too much power, influence, and the ability to cover it up for you to be able to tell through an Instagram photo. Presidents and the people in their cabinets are not these social media and reality TV stars that you can track their adoration for one another via who they follow or do not follow on their social media pages. It seems like we're bringing very childlike pattern recognition into a very serious, very adult conversation that I'm like, what are we actually doing? What are we really doing here? Because sometimes I think it's a waste of time. I think it's a waste of time to go into what feels like borderline paranoia to try to solve it. What are they going to do with that, girl? The FBI, if you actually solved it, the FBI, the CIA, and just straight up the alt-right would have you dead. So like, I'm not saying don't pay attention, but the conspiracy theory of Shochu, the CEO of TikTok, being connected to this and that and all this, it's just like, I don't really believe that it is in plain sight as much as you want it to be. I think that there's a lot of displaced emotion and frustration around the state of the world, which I get and relate to. And maybe this is just how you and I show up differently to the era that America is in, but I do not think it's healthy to adopt such a level of paranoia that I'm not able to pay attention to what's actually in front of me, but rather looking for like some hidden national treasure Nicolas Cage movie series of events and patterns and letters in some particular order that's not a sentence, but rather just like on June 4th she wrote S, and then June 9th she wrote H, and then over the next month it spelled Shochu. Like, that's not, no. Stop it. Let's go outside, let's take a breath, because we have 4 years. So we need to really like gear up for this and really be prepared to do what we need to do, and looking for these paranoid ass conspiracy theories is not the way. There's more than enough to be scared, angry, or anxious about regarding this new administration that I do not think that we need to make anything up. They're gonna give it to us, girl. That's all I got for today. I will see you guys later on. Mwah. Subscribe!